All right, back again, back again. So we're going to get into this conversation about LeBron James joining the Sixers. So he officially signed his contract, I believe, as of yesterday. 2 years, $8 million with the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, my initial thought on this. At first, I had this thought process that it took him probably a couple weeks to decide he was going to the Sixers. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the last 2-3 weeks he did a lot of heavy thinking. If he's really going to make this move, I do believe he's going back and forth between three teams. I believe those three teams are Sixers, Cavs, and Heat. I truly feel in my gut that LeBron James did not want to have no parts with the Western Conference anymore. So, don't get me wrong, he could have been considering Golden State based off reports. But you go to Golden State with Stephen Curry. Yeah, you're playing with a generational talent, an unbelievable talent. I can understand why you want to play with him. But to me, it never made any sense if you want to put yourself in the best winning situation. That's why I didn't see him going to Golden State. I do feel that the Western Conference still today is more stacked compared to the Eastern Conference. But don't get me wrong, the Eastern Conference, we have quite a few teams that are going to be very challenging, even in the playoffs. So you could have, one team, everybody believing one team could be a clear winner, but then it could be another team, between, Miami, Cavs, Toronto, Philadelphia. So I can understand that, but I feel like it was for sure he wanted to come over to the Eastern Conference, because if you pick the right team, the right fit in the Eastern Conference, it was going to work out a bit more easier for him to find a path towards, the NBA Finals and to win again. But something is telling me in the last few months that this possibly could have been the works of LeBron James going to Philly. I strongly believe that, because if you think about the dynamics around him going to this team, you have a team that has been trusting this process. Because I was one person that was talking about this process for years. I used to laugh at it because I wasn't understanding what process they were talking about, because we've seen the players they drafted over the years, and no offense to them, but Embiid, always a health issue and always a health concern. And the biggest thing about Embiid being honestly one of the best big men in the league when healthy, there's times in the game where he don't want to play like a big man. It feels like he want to play like more of a small forward, power forward at times. Instead of getting down low and banging down low and getting those buckets in the basket that you could get down low as a big, he's at the 3-point line, somewhere close in the mid-range, maybe in the post a little bit, instead of really banging down low. And then it's always a health concern. Then they drafted Ben Simmons. That didn't work out. And then there were some other draft picks that didn't work out. So a lot of people didn't understand this process for many years. But I feel like in the last few months, ever since at least the trade deadline, when Giannis and Jaylen Brown, they were heavy in trade conversations. And I believe that maybe, LeBron is some type of way wanted to go there, because I feel like in the last couple weeks, because remember I said it back weeks ago, what is up with Philadelphia? I said that. I said, Philly is too quiet right now. Something is going on, and I just couldn't really put it together, because they have a team that beat Boston last year, I believe, in the second round, don't remember which round. And they have pieces, good pieces too. And then Maxey is a great, great talent. I just didn't understand why they were so quiet. But they were quiet during this whole process leading up to them getting Jaylen Brown, then LeBron James. I feel like in a few months that there was something going on between there, that this was always not always a part of the plan, because I do believe LeBron contemplated with a couple teams and like, should I make this move? Should I go here? Should I do a homecoming? Should I play with Giannis? Should I play with Steph Curry? But I believe it all boiled down to something that they had planned for him to go to Philly in the last few months, because they was just a silent partner to go grab Jaylen Brown, and no one expected it. So once that happened, and I'm sitting back and I'm watching, and I'm saying to myself, it's either going to be Cavs or Philly that LeBron goes to. Now, in terms of fit, it's a great fit. LeBron James is a small forward, fast, athletic passer. Everybody knows he's definitely one of the better passers in the league. And at times, majority of LeBron's career, like, don't get me wrong, he scores. Of course, we know he scores. And he can and will be dominant. But like I said before, he's at that point in his career where he don't want to be the one to option on the team. He want to play more like a Magic Johnson. That's definitely one of his favorite players that he have talked about in the past. So I kind of figured him going to this team, he could be like that Magic Johnson and just pass. It's literally pass to Tyrese Maxey. And then if he want to take the ball off his hands, he could give it to Maxey and he could pass. But then just pass to Embiid, pass to Maxey, pass to Jaylen Brown, especially Jaylen Brown and Embiid. So LeBron and Maxey are going to kind of play like this back and forth point guard type role. And it's going to work. The only question mark around this team is Embiid's health. His health is everything. He has to stay healthy. Because then we have to talk about LeBron James' contract. Because LeBron James' contract is a 2-year, $8 million deal with the 15% trade kicker. And then has a player option. So LeBron mentioned that this is his last decision, but it's definitely, you definitely have to raise an eyebrow a little bit on what type of deal he has. Like, if this is your last stop, the last team, your last decision, why do you have a player option? Everybody knows in the past when LeBron James had player options, that means if some don't work out, he's eventually leaving, or he has plans to leave and go somewhere else. He's done this how many times, guys? He's done this a couple times. He did it, with Miami. He did it with Cleveland. Surprisingly, it lasted longer with the Lakers. But I honestly believe that when he was with the Lakers, he was really trying to find a way to come back to Cleveland. Because I believe he started to understand that LA fan base in general do not love him the same, back at home or just on the East Coast, period. I feel like these teams outside LA and maybe some other teams, maybe you could consider someone like Boston, like certain teams, cities in particular, would not appreciate a person or a player like LeBron James, especially coming from Ohio. It's like they always have this thing against Ohio people, Cleveland, Akron, I don't know. It's weird. It's always been Ohio against the world. But with that being said, this contract right here is definitely interesting. I don't believe this is LeBron's last stop. That's just my personal opinion. I feel like he's saying that to keep the fan base calm, cool, collective, because it was a little bit of a circus doing his decision once again. And, just to keep everything like level-headed, or to make other teams or executives or, fans think he's not moving again, but just up and move when it's time to go if he decides to. But this player option, like, if this is your last stop, there's no need for a player option, especially for this type of money in a deal. You're getting paid a few $1 million. So what is the point of a player option getting paid this little itty bitty money? This is veterans minimum. LeBron, he had never made this small amount of money in his life when it came to playing basketball. Except for maybe, like, I don't remember what his contract was coming into the league, but this right here, this is definitely raised an eyebrow for me. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on and to watch out for with this process with the Philadelphia 76ers. So that is interesting. Now, as for the Cavs, because I have to touch on these Cleveland Cavaliers, because we were waiting for LeBron James. We thought we had him, and the organization did as well. I strongly believe they thought they had that in the bag. Okay, now for the Cleveland Cavaliers, they're talking about Jonathan Kuminga. Now, the issue with Jonathan Kuminga wants 20 mil a year, and we can't give that to him unless we move some pieces. Even with that being said, if we have to move pieces to clear some cap for him, I don't think it's really necessary right now. Because don't get me wrong, I think Kuminga has the potential to be a very good player, but I don't know if it's 20 mil right now that he's worth. No offense and no knock to him, but I don't think it's really worth paying him that right now. I would feel more comfortable paying him 15 the MLE, but again, we have to wait and see because the Lakers are also in the mix of Jonathan Kuminga as well for sign and trade. We are in the mix also for DeMar DeRozan. I do like this. I believe DeMar DeRozan is a very good player, and he's still very much still effective player on the court. He averaged 17, 18 last season quietly, but it was with the Sacramento Kings, and the Kings is not really getting attention right now. Plus, they were losing a lot of games last season. Their record was really bad, so it was kind of like players that's over there, I feel in general, got overlooked, except for Sabonis. But I do like this DeMar DeRozan. I think I like this option better. Picking up DeMar DeRozan because it'll be more affordable. We don't have to sign to a long-term deal or anything like that. Or it could be a couple-year deal, 1-year deal. It adds a small forward, something that we need and missing extremely bad. I do like this option. You can use them in the starting lineup. You could also use them off the bench as well. Depending on how they want to map things out. So I like being the mix of Jonathan Kuminga and DeMar DeRozan. We also signed, now I do not know how to say this young man's name. Where is he at? We just signed a EuroLeague star. We still have not signed James Harden yet. So we'll watch what's going on with that. Yeah, everybody call him Super Mario. EuroLeague star.
Sees a seam attacks and dunks right over the top of Chris.
He's a three-point threat, which I love.
Down. Mario Hezonja.
Mario Hezonja off to the races. Oh, Mario Hezonja.
Another turnover for Seska. And Hezonja with another dunk. Hezonja gets free for the three, and he makes
a big upswing here.
Yeah, and he's going to fit well in the NBA because he's already shooting far back in the three-point line when he was in the EuroLeague. So that's not going to be a problem.
Short shooting hands of Rodriguez.
I know it's too soon to say, but I would not mind him being in the starting lineup.
Well, unless you got Hezonja out there.
Bring space, shooting.
Because Hezonja just keeps...
In my opinion, I like this signing of Mario, but I prefer him in the starting lineup and putting DeMar DeRozan off the bench if we get him. Or Kuminga. Another person that I would not mind adding, because I believe we're going to trade Dennis Schroeder, and I do believe we should just trade Max Strus as well. He missed a lot of games last season, so I feel like at this point it's not really working out. But if we do keep Strus, we might be able to figure something out. But to clear cap, I would definitely, we did the sign of Mario. He is getting paid $2.8 million, so that's good. We got him on a cheap deal. Work him out, see how that fit, how that works out. Add DeMar for a cheap price. And I am looking to add, this is somebody I would like to add on the Cleveland Cavaliers. I would like to add Klay Thompson. I would love to. But they're saying he's going to Miami with a strong chance he's good. Well, he wants to play for a title contending team. So Miami definitely, I believe, is first on his list. He's been linked to this team the whole entire offseason. So we'll see how that goes. If it don't work out, I would love to see him on the Cavs coming off the bench. Klay Thompson averaged 12 points last season. he also shot 38% from the three-point line. So he's a very effective player. And we could just, honestly, for the most part, use him as a spot-up three-point shooter. You know, he's at that point in his career that's basically the role he plays. He could do more if needed, but I think it'll be a great fit. Defender as well. Veteran leadership, championship, you know, so I would like to see that. So we have a couple options. I like us being active, but I prefer us to be more active and more aggressive. So we will see where a few of these guys end up at. Now, Golden State might be going a different direction. Because I think they're kind of just done with this whole chasing superstars mentality. Like, maybe they feel like they're wasting time, wasting money. You know, they did trade for Jimmy Butler a couple years ago, ended up with an ACL injury, unfortunately. You know, they have Porzingis. He won a championship with Boston. I don't know. Maybe they feel like it's time to blow it up. I would not be surprised sooner rather than later, between now and deadline or next summer, that they're just getting rid of all these guys. Curry, I'm not sure, because Curry, he is eligible for a contract extension, but I don't know if the Warriors they're not under new ownership. I think they're still with the same ownership. It's the Lakers and Boston that's under new ownership. But I don't know. It's interesting to see what happened with Curry, because he's eligible for extension on the 29th. It's very interesting to see what they do. You know, I believe he's definitely wants to stay and will stay and definitely take the extension. But it kind of depends on the direction of the organization, if that's what they really want. So that is something to watch out for with Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. The thing about Curry and the Warriors, Curry is still a very, very effective player. He averaged in the 20s last season, still shooting over 30% from three-point line. He still got it. Like, the health been a little questionable as of lately, but if the Warriors don't want him, I'm pretty sure that Curry and the Warriors will figure out someplace else for him to go. But you would assume he would retire, Golden State Warrior, or stay there and just not leave at all. But that's definitely something to look out for. All right. I will be back again with some more information, some more content on these recent moves in the NBA, my thoughts on upcoming season, the teams, where they rank, who has the true potential to win a championship, and just bring more great content to you guys.